Hey y'all, welcome to yet another direct action gaming session. My name is Sean, and today we are going to be starting yet another chapter in our wasteland adventures. And today we're going to be doing things just a little bit differently. We're still playing the same game, and this is still the same channel, of course. But we're just going to be doing things a little bit differently. I've been thinking a bit in the past week or so that it might be neat to try and lean a little bit further into the storytelling element of gaming. So, and that means our character already has a name. His name is Gordon. And I've also come up with a title for our adventure as if it was some kind of a book. This is, well, as you probably saw in the thumbnail and the title, this is Caps Are a Ghoul's Best Friend. That is the name of our little tale. And our protagonist, if we can even call him that, is Gordon. So let's talk a little bit about... We're just going to dive right into it. We're just going to talk a little bit about Gordon and his background and a little bit of Fallout lore before we get into the gameplay here. We're going to try to set the scene in this, our first session in this little tale. Harry, maybe y'all can hear Harry. He's kind of bored. I know, Harry, you want stuff to do. No, you can't play the game, buddy. You're just going to knock everything over. Grab a toy or something. Sorry about that. Anyway, so Gordon. Basically, the model itself for this ghoul character has a fancy suit on, right? As I was painting him and looking closer at the model, I started to notice more and more details on it, which, by the way, is a really cool thing about, painting miniatures. Like, I would describe it as kind of like carving a statue in a way. Like, you're slowly revealing the form as you go. But anyway, so I noticed his suit, right? And I decided to go with like a paisley pattern for the suit. And that kind of got me thinking about Gordon Gekko. And if you're not familiar with that name, it was basically, I believe, an 80s movie in which Michael Douglas played this ruthless, Wall Street finance type guy called Gordon Gekko, and he did a speech about why greed is actually pretty cool and good, actually. So that's the Gordon name in a nutshell. That's where that came from. And since Gordon is a ghoul, I thought we could even technically say that he was in the finance sector before the bombs dropped. So now we need to get into a little bit of Fallout lore for those that aren't familiar. Ghouls in the Fallout universe are heavily irradiated humans that are functionally immortal, more or less. They cannot die from old age. Sure, you can kill them like the normal way, right? But they're kind of immortal. But they also sort of look like zombies, basically, right? Like they've got skin falling off. They look like they're decaying. They look like dead corpses walking around, more or less. Now, what's interesting about this, though, is that even though ghouls look like zombies, and some of them even are zombies, because ghouls do have a tendency to go feral, as wasteland people tend to call it, and they do functionally become zombies, where they just, mindlessly attack anyone and anything that isn't a ghoul that they can see, right? So, yeah, not every ghoul is that, though. Plenty of ghouls are just people that look like zombies and might be really old. Not every ghoul is super duper old, but some of them have actually been around since before the bombs dropped. And that's just a really interesting, storytelling element, right? Because some of these people can be really old and know a lot of stuff, but at the same time, like, wasteland society kind of marginalizes them. There's a $10 word for you. They get marginalized because, they look like walking corpses. And some of them even are zombies or have the potential to become zombies. So, with all that being said, ghouls kind of do get marginalized, and they do kind of have to form, like, sort of leper-like communities, right? Where they live off the beaten path somewhere. They try to live in the middle of nowhere so that people will just leave them the hell alone. And that helps set the stage for Gordon and the person that he is, right? He was already kind of greedy before the bombs dropped a long time ago. But now that he's been living as a ghoul for a couple of centuries and people have just been dunking on him relentlessly for, looking like a zombie and, for all they knew, possibly a zombie, because some wastelanders will just shoot ghouls on sight. Like, they don't even try to talk to them. I mean, one would think it would be easy enough to determine if, like, a ghoul is a feral or not, right? You just kind of say, hi, how are ya? And if they actually respond, then cool. They're not going to try to eat you. And that says a lot, right? That says a lot that some people just don't even bother to do that. They just straight up shoot every ghoul they see. Like the Brotherhood of Steel does more often than not. Anyway, so all this to say that yes, Gordon is a bad dude. He does bad stuff. He has decided to lean into the whole villain thing that everybody thinks that he is anyway. And for the purposes of this scenario, he's gonna do all the bad stuff. He's gonna try to make as much money as he possibly can by screwing over as many people as possible. And that's at least one reason why I decided to choose the pit scenario, right? So our story has a name, but the scenario is the pit. And Gordon is going to be helping the bad guys, the obvious bad guys, and or the slavers. We're going to be helping the slavers. Gordon's goal is to get to Haven and help the slavers and make some caps. That's what he wants to do. And we're going to follow his adventures as he tries to do that, right? So, all right. We might as well start the timer here, because gameplay is about to begin. Okay. 30 minutes. And we're going to keep to this whole, like, episodic sort of thing, 30-minute sessions, because, well, now they can literally be chapters of a story. It will flow from one chapter to the next. And to begin with here, I probably should describe a few things about, like, the gameplay aspects of being a ghoul. So, the ghoul character does start out with the vilified trait, so yes, gameplay-wise, everybody kind of automatically hates Gordon. Like, just on sight, they kind of hate him. But he's got a definite advantage in the fact that, like, rad damage does not hurt him, it actually heals him. Now, to counter that, his health is capped permanently at 12. So his health can never be a full 16 points. It's only ever 12. But we just never take rad damage. If we take rad damage from basically any source, it just kind of gives us more hit points, which is kind of nice. I kind of like that. So, Yeah, that's how the Ghoul character works. That's who Gordon is. Let's get started. So since we want to go to Haven, now, before we do anything else, we will read this first quest card that has been staged once the game begins. It's called Into the Pit, and it says, you happen upon a man fleeing his new wasteland. Please, he says, if you see my friends, tell them I made it. That there is a way out, and whatever you do, don't let the slavers know I've come this way. Now, we already know what Gordon's gonna do. He's gonna say, sure, and then he's gonna go to the first settlement he can find and snitch on the guy. So that's what we're gonna be trying to do. We're gonna try to find a settlement to go to. So, let's explore this tile. And what do you know? We've got Hoffman Farm right next door. That is a settlement. So our next action could be to move. We're going to move to Hoffman Farm, and that is our first turn. We also need to spawn some enemies here. I kind of forgot to do that. So we've got a Stingwing here. We've got a looter up here by the bridge. We have Mr. Gutsy up here. It's always Mr. Gutsy for some reason. By the Haven. And there needs to be a monster by the mill, and that is the glowing one. Okay. Cool. So, we got to draw our first agenda card to see what happens. And it is humanoid and monster. So, we've got the looter moves one space down, and so does the glowing one. And that is what happens. Cool. All right, so next turn. Gordon, as I said, he's going to be snitching on that slave. He runs straight on over to Hoffman Farm as soon as he sees it. He is there, so now we can do a quest action at Hoffman Farm to help the slavers. And what that's going to mean is we bump up the slaver agenda by 1, and we also place a slaver enemy in our spot, and we get to draw from the loot deck twice. Let me just make sure I shuffle it a little bit. I think I may have forgotten to do that because I always forget to do something. 2 cards. 1, 2. What do we get? Gordon gets a bit of money and some psycho. Cool. And as we were talking about earlier, Gordon loves him some money. So he already has 3 caps to start with. Forgot that too. So we get 3 more caps on top of that because we got fistful of caps here. We discard that immediately. And there is one other thing I forgot to do. I need to grab 1 additional trait. It's A. And Gordon does get 1 agenda card. And that is security. Well, that's convenient. Gordon can now just ally himself with the slavers. He is openly declaring loyalty to the slavers, and we have our first agenda card. Okay. So that happened. One other thing is we staged some new cards, 58 and 67. So let's find those. Excusez-moi. 58. On the eve of war. 67 is Vault Rumors. Okay. What would really be nice... I don't know if we're going to be able to do that this time, because the overall goal is get as much money for Gordon as possible. But honestly, I would kind of like to fully explore the vault thing, because I've noticed that, like, you always start with, like, the 84 vault quest, and that kind of leads to 109. And I've done 84, but I haven't done 109. I've been there, but I haven't gone inside 109 to find out what the hell's going on inside that place. So I don't know. Either this playthrough or another one. I'm gonna figure that out. But we now have Vault Rumors. We already kind of know what that is, but we also have On the Eve of War. And this says, it turns out that the slave who escaped was part of a resistance group. Without his aid in Ashbury, their upcoming assault on Haven will need to be scrapped. So we've got 2 more options here. We can gather intelligence on this resistance, and that's obviously what we're going to do. Or we can provide another individual to take the place of the deserter. And that means we'd have to go to Ashbury Road and sort of have a companion. And we're not doing that. And that's kind of cool because we can just do this other thing right now. We are already at a settlement. And we can just do another quest action to try and gather intelligence on the resistance. So, what this means is, I'm going to need to take a charisma test of 3 at Hoffman Farm here to see if we can pass this little test to gather intelligence on the resistance. We're going to need 3 points, and we do not get any rerolls just yet. And we only get 2 points, and we do not get a reroll. So we fail that one. So that is our turn. We snitched on the guy. We tried to find out more info. Nobody's talking to Gordon just yet, probably because they all hate him. No one's saying anything to Gordon just yet. So, alright, that was our turn. So now we're gonna draw another card, and it says shield. So it's a good thing we're able to declare loyalty to the slavers. So I'm not gonna get attacked by a slaver, but we do also have monster and robot. So that means the glowing one is going to move down to this space, and Mr. Gutsy is going to move down to this space. That's what happens there. Alright, so it's time for another turn. Gordon is just going to try once again to pass this test, because here he is at Hoffman Farm, and he can do this next thing by just trying to get 3 points on this charisma test. And he fails. Damn it. These tests are kind of tough in the beginning when you have no ability to reroll just yet. I'm going to do it one more time, but if we fail again, I might need to consider like exploring and doing some wasteland encounters to get some more XP and some more equipment before we start, doing more tests. But we're going to do yet another quest action. We're going to do the same thing. I'm pretty sure you can spam quest actions. You just can't spam encounters in the same location. And once again we fail. We only get 2 points. We do not get 3, and we cannot reroll. So next turn we're going to have to move on and try to, do a bit of exploring, do a bit of leveling, and maybe get some equipment that'll help us with this thing that we're trying to do. So, all right, that was another turn. So we're going to draw yet another agenda card. Time is moving on here. So we get a star and a monster. That means this resistance person is going to move down here, and the monster is going to move down to this space. The glowing one is a little bit closer to us. This is why we might not want to stay in the same place for too long, right? So, I guess another thing we could consider is we could pursue this Vault Rumors thing right now by doing yet another quest action at Hoffman Farm and spending 4 caps, and that would net us yet another agenda card. So we could do that. That means we're going to have to take 4 of our caps and dump them. That is our first action. We are going to get an agenda card for that. Let me move these tokens a little bit. Have enough space for all these agenda cards that we are going to be getting and looking at. Next agenda card is yet another security. Okay, cool. So right off the bat, we've got 4 influence because slavers are 1 space ahead and we've got 2 security cards. So that's kind of cool. All right, so we got that. And we're going to be staging card number 69. All right, that'll be in this deck here. Crack it open. Okay. So we get rid of Vault Rumors. Throw that in the box. We now have Crack It Open. Crack It Open says the information around town says that there are people locked away inside the vault, but they are somewhat very hostile to outsiders. Perhaps you can break in? Question mark? Okay, so the 2 options are... Alright, we have to brute force the vault. We can't, like, do more quest actions at a settlement or just pay money. We have to either do a SE4 test at Vault 84, or we have to do a PI4 test at the Red Rocket Station. So, yeah, we're going to have to move on and keep exploring. So the second action, I think, is going to be an explore. We're going to explore this tile and reveal Vault 84. Okay. So that's where Vault 84 is, and we're going to have to spawn another creature there. It's yet another Stingwing. Okay, a lot of Stingwings in these parts. Alright, and so that was yet another turn for us. So now we put down another agenda card. And it's going to be Star and Mutant. No mutants on the map just yet, so the slave resistance moves down 1 space. Okay, that's what happens. Alright, so Gordon is going to want to do a move and an explore this time. So we can move and we can explore this tile. Find out what it is. It's Highway 74. Alright. There are no enemies that spawn on Highway 74. And if you might recall, with a movement action, you normally get 2 movement points. And you can do an action in the middle of your movement action, which means Gordon can continue his move action and be right here on Highway 74. And that kind of primes us to do a wasteland encounter next turn. Alright, so yeah, Gordon is on his way. He is exploring the wastes. He is trying to get a little bit better at screwing people over and find himself some more money and some better gear before he can gather more intelligence on the slave resistance on his way to Haven to make even more money by, you know, enslaving people. What a jerk. Gordon is a jerk. Anyway, that's the turn. We're going to flip another agenda card, and we get Humanoid. All right, so that means the looter is going to move down to this space with the slave resistance, and that is what happens. Time is marching on, y'all. Okay, so now it is time for a wasteland encounter. Gordon is going to poke around Highway 74 to see what he can find. What is going to happen? See, top card says a few scavengers have gathered their findings and placed them as bets. The first to make it to the far side of the complex and back wins. Wow. So option 1 is join the race, and it's a test where you need like 6 points, but you're allowed to do rerolls for all the attributes. So if you were maxed out, you could get like 7 rerolls. Potentially 8 if you got well rested. We're not doing that though, because I couldn't even pass a level 3 charisma test. So, no thanks. Our other options are train on the course after they've done. I think the obvious option is 3, hold back and take their stuff. So Gordon says, as soon as they're out of sight, you grab whatever you can and you get out of there. Now, interestingly, it says become vilified, but that doesn't matter. Gordon's already vilified. So, basically, we get to draw 1 loot card, because Highway 74 is a level 1 loot location, so we get 1 loot card for this. And we get us some buff out. We got us some more drugs. Okay. Probably something we can sell, because we don't really need that right now. Buff out says, during a test or fight that uses S or E, exhaust to add 1 hit. We don't have S or E, so that doesn't really help. Psycho could help us, though. We can just use it to generate 1 reroll, and it even gives us 1 hit point back. We just might become addicted, which might not be great, but whatever. Okay, so we did an encounter here. That was our first action. Since we can't spam encounters, I think the next thing we might want to do is yet another explore. And we have revealed the Red Rocket Station. Oh, also, it says, yeah, we're going to need to put this encounter at the bottom of the wasteland deck. And we're spawning yet another humanoid, which is a regulator, right by the Red Rocket Station. Okay. So there's, I guess Gordon is going to try to make it to the Red Rocket Station next and do yet another wasteland encounter there. We can also always try to break into the vault there as well. That's another thing we can potentially do. So we'll see how this plays out. But for now, that is a turn. So we have to draw another agenda card to see what's hunting Gordon down now. It is Star and Robot, so the Slave Resistance gets a little bit closer to Gordon, and Mr. Gutsy also moves a little bit closer towards the bridge. That is what happens there. Okay, so Gordon is gonna make a move for Red Rocket Station, so that's 1, 2. Here we are. And now we're gonna do yet another wasteland encounter at the Red Rocket Station. What happens this time to Gordon? Okay, it says you hear nothing but your own footsteps as you walk through the ruins. It's calm and quiet. So, we can hack into an old register, which is Intelligence 3, or we can search for useful equipment, which is PL4, Perception Luck. Now, ghouls do start off with perception, so I might actually try that. We'll try perception because we do actually get a reroll. So we're going to see what happens here. Can we get 4 points? We get 3. So that's not terrible. We get 3, and we do get 1 reroll. So as long as we get at least 1 point with this reroll, we pass. And we do. We get 4 points. Cool. So Gordon has used his perception to find some goodies, basically. You turn over some rubble to find a corpse. It stinks, but it has some useful items on it. And Gordon being Gordon, he's going to grab that shit up. And it basically says we get loot times wasteland level plus 1. And that means since Red Rocket is level 2, we get to draw 3 loot cards. So 1, 2, 3. What are we going to get? We get a pipe wrench, and I might as well equip that. It's better than nothing. And we do get 2 items of junk. Oh, that's nice. That means we could totally trade this in for, like, anything we wanted, really. From either the store or from any of the discard piles. I'm tempted to just do that now to, like, get the fistful of caps back again and get yet another 3 caps back. Which kind of means Gordon would, like, counterfeit money. I actually like that. So it's something our character would do, I think. So we're going to discard the junk and get Fistful of Caps back and discard that immediately to get 3 more caps. Gordon totally just counterfeited some Nuka-Cola caps. Anyway. So yeah, we got to draw that, and that is what happened. So we put that on the bottom of the encounter deck there. Bingo bango. Cool. Alright, that's another turn. We're going to draw another agenda card to see what's hunting down Gordon now. And it is creature. So this Stingwing is going to move here, and this Stingwing is going to move here. And I don't think there are any other creatures on the map currently, so that is all that happens. Alright. So, what will Gordon do now? We might do an encounter plus an explore. Let's do an explore first to see what we can reveal. We can explore either this tile or that tile since they are both adjacent to our space at the moment. We might as well do this one. Gordon just scans the horizon to see what's over there, and it is Ashbury Road, and we spawn another creature, which is a rad scorpion just past Ashbury Road. Okay. So that's yet another settlement over there. So I kind of think we'll do another wasteland encounter, try to get some more stuff and some more XP perhaps. We still haven't gotten any real XP just yet because we haven't gotten into any fights. So let's do another wasteland encounter, and then we've got another settlement over here where we might try to gather some more intel. So what does the encounter deck have for us this time? It says, as you pick through the ruins, you spot a figure on the ground. As you approach, you see that it's a dead man. He has no weapons or gear. What was he doing out here? The options are to investigate the corpse or to ignore the corpse and search. I kind of think we're doing number 2. Because Gordon does have perception and, you know, he is a greedy bastard. So, like, maybe he just says, oh, a dead person. Is there anything really valuable around here? So we're going to do this test to see if we can pass it. That's what we're doing. Doing the test. Gotta get 4 again. And once again, we start with 3, and we do get 1 reroll. And this is a PE4 test, so we get precisely 1 reroll. Can we get 1 more point on this? We don't. We fail. Okay. So it says, fail. You hear scuttling as you search. The corpse must have drawn scavengers. We have to draw and fight a creature, which isn't terrible, because that will get us some XP. And it's even a rad roach. So if the rad roach even manages to do damage to us, it actually heals us. I don't think this rad roach can actually do damage to us. So Anyway, time to do a fight. And we can use Psycho to try and get a reroll here. Our Pipe Wrench is effectively useless because we need strength to get a reroll with it. And if we get a headshot result too, we kind of have to discard it. It just goes away. So the Pipe Wrench kind of sucks. We need limbs, and we only need one of them, and we got that. We got it. There is 1 point of damage that the Rad Roach does, but again, Rad Roaches just do rad damage, so we take 0 damage, and we smush the Rad Roach for 1 experience point. Cool, we finally get us some XP. So the Rad Roach is gone. Gordon nets himself a bit of experience. Cool. So that was that turn. And we're gonna have to pull another agenda card to see what happens after Gordon had a desperate scuffle with a Rad Roach. Alright, we get humanoid and creature, so that means we have yet another fight on our hands. The Regulator is going to shoot at us. The Rad Scorpion is going to move closer. The Stingwing is moving closer. This Stingwing is moving closer. This Looter moves to this space, and that is what happens. Alright, so we have yet another fight that we need to resolve here. We might need to exhaust our Psycho. I don't know, we'll see. But we can get some loot and 2 XP if we manage to take this Regulator down. But the Regulator is ranged, and we don't have a ranged weapon, so they get 1 automatic point of damage on us. What happens? We need chest and or legs, and we only got 1 hit. We got 1. Okay. Well, what we can do... is exhaust Psycho. Unfortunately, we don't get a hit point back because we haven't lost any hit points yet, but we can generate a reroll with this. We will just have to take an endurance test after this fight is over. So first we're going to generate the reroll. Can we get 1 more hit? We got 2 hits. Cool. Alright. So we got 2 torsos. And we only take 3 damage. So that's not terrible. And we take out the Regulator. Alright, so let's do all that. We get 2 XP for taking out the Regulator. So that's 1. We level up and go back to the beginning of the XP track. That's the bell, ladies and gents. So we're going to try to resolve all this stuff here and call it a day for now. Let's see. I grab 2 chips randomly, and we get Charisma and Intelligence, and we're definitely taking Charisma so that we can gather that Intelligence, which sounds funny, doesn't it? Since we just threw out Intelligence to gain a Charisma. Anyway, so that was the leveling up part from the 2 XP that we got. We also get to draw from the loot deck, and we get Tesla Science. When we camp, if we don't have Intelligence, and we don't, we can discard this to gain 2 more XP, and that is dope. Okay, so we got that. We toss out the Regulator, and we're going to put an inactive humanoid right there. Okay. So Gordon got some experience from taking out that Regulator that bushwhacked him. Tried to take him out. Gordon was just a little bit too quick for him and smacked him upside the head with his pipe wrench. So that's what happened there. And the guy had a magazine on him, and that's cool. But we did have to shoot up some psycho to try and take him down. So now we have to take an endurance test to see, are we going to become addicted? We need to get 3 points, and we don't get any advantages here for rerolls because we don't have endurance. And side note, I think it's kind of weird that, like, ghouls start with perception rather than endurance, because, like, you know, ghoul, they're basically like zombies, kind of, so you would think endurance would be their thing, not perception. Anyway, we're gonna re-roll here. Roll, I should say. Oh, and we fail that spectacularly. So yes, we are now addicted. We gain the addicted trait. And this means we cannot discard Psycho. It is permanently in our inventory. And if we want to unexhaust it, we have to pay to do that. So that isn't great. And it also kind of means even if we could use buff out, we wouldn't want to, because that would take up yet another inventory space, of which we only have 3 right now. So this isn't good necessarily. But we are close to Ashbury Road, and we can go there and just sell some stuff to clear our pockets a little bit. And we can also camp. Oh, I forgot. That guy did 3 damage to us. So 1, 2, 3. We're down to 9. All right. So we are going to need to camp next time. That is definitely a thing that we're going to need to do. Yeah. Last thing is we kind of need to do an agenda card as well. And we're also going to have to push the slavery resistance forward 1 because we have expended the agenda cards now. It says mutant, so nothing happens because we have no mutants on the map. But we still take the star token here and we move the resistance agenda a little bit forward. So now both factions are tied. Okay. So we're going to reshuffle our little agenda deck. Time has advanced upon us, my friends. All right. So that was our first episode. And if you've seen my stuff before, some of my recent stuff before, you may have noticed I did not start the episode by, talking about channel stuff. Because I kind of figure it might be best to just save that kind of stuff till the end of the video, because if you made it here to the end of the video, first of all, thank you. Thank you for, giving me your time and your attention and a little more watch time. I do appreciate that. If you are still here and you would be so inclined, you could look at the description section to find other ways to help the channel, or the easiest ways to help the channel, obviously, is just do the YouTube things. Click the things. You can like if you like the video, subscribe, give me a bit of feedback in the comment section. All these things help, boost my content at least a little bit to some more people that might think it's cool too. And in the description, you can find 2 interesting ways to help the channel. First of all, I do have a Ko-fi page. That's ko-fi. That is where you can donate. You can throw me a few bucks. It's kind of a virtual tip jar. Because I'm putting on a show for y'all. If you like it, just throw me a few bucks. I'm just a guy on the street that's playing the guitar for y'all, basically. So, side note, I did upgrade my Ko-fi page lately. I have put some new stuff on there. I didn't really do that much. Basically, I just put the channel trailer on there, so there's not like a dead link on there anymore. And I have definitely added an awful lot of pictures, plus a couple of new libraries for the gallery. There's a couple of there's 3 now libraries for the gallery of models that I painted. So we've got Zombicide 2nd Edition, we've got Classic Zombicide, and we also have a miscellaneous library, which is mostly just like models for games that like are just board games that don't have like tons of models. So that includes like these Fallout figures for this game that I'm playing right now, and some other stuff that I've done. And if you want to see that, you can head on over to my Ko-fi page and just look at all them models, and you don't have to throw me any money at all, really. You can just check them out. You can do that. That's fine. So, second link, moving on, is my Blue Sky link. I am on Blue Sky. You can go there. You can give me a follow if you really want. But mostly I'm posting all my sort of updates for whenever I finish a thing, or just stuff I'm working on for the channel, and just announcements for new series and yada yada yada, plus just cute pictures of Harry and just whatever else I think is kind of interesting, because, you know, social media, that's what it's supposed to be for, right? Anyhow, if you are still here, once again, thank you kindly. I do appreciate it, and it's time to roll again. So take it easy, take care of each other, and I'ma see y'all in the next thing. Bye.